somebody's turned the tap on in the middle of the night. Have you seen it? It's pouring. I don't know where you are in the world, but it's absolutely pouring outside. Literally, somebody's turned the tap on and left it on. Can you turn it off now, please? That's enough. Enough. Even the cat looked out the window. She tried to go out and went, no chance, come back in again. So it's opulently raining. So yesterday we were talking about getting into the spirit of it. And what's funny today is the spirit of opulence. And I think it's opulently raining. There's definitely plenty of opulence where the water is concerned. I may or may not read all of this. Let's see where we go. But I love this one because it just clarifies as to how we're thinking in the real world today. So it is quite, again, it's The Hidden Power by Thomas Troward. And this is the spirit of opulence. It is quite a mistake to suppose that we must restrict and stint ourselves in order to develop greater power or usefulness. This is to form the conception of the divine power as so limited that the best use we can make of it is by a policy of self-starvation, whether material or mental. You see, what we're saying is that we can't be poor enough to help the poor, but we think that we shouldn't have a lot because other people don't have a lot. And, we'll not get into heaven if we've got a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of beliefs literally going on there. Good morning, James. Morning, Lizzie. So there's a lot of beliefs going on there as to that you think that you should or shouldn't have anything. And that's what of course, if we believe that some form of self-starvation is necessary to produce our good work, then so long as we entertain this belief, the fact actually is so for us. Basically, whatever you believe, you get. But all this exists in and is produced by our belief. And when we come to examine the grounds of this belief, we shall find that it rests upon an entire misapprehension of the nature of our own power. If we clearly realize that the creative power in ourselves is unlimited, and then there is no reason for limiting the extent to which we may enjoy what we can create by means of it. So there you go. You can have what you want. Why are you limiting yourself? Why do you say, oh, I can't do that? Because you're thinking of the past. Now, let me tell you, if the Wright brothers thought about the past when they were designing a plane and getting in the air, well, we would never be flying, would we? So stop thinking of your potential on your past because they just don't relate to each other. So the danger lies in not sufficiently realizing our own richness and in looking upon the externalized products of our creative power as being the true riches instead of the creative power of spirit itself. And that is so true. So you think that you want the car, you think you want the money, you think you want the house, you think you want it all. But then when you get it, you want more. It wasn't that you were looking for. Okay, it's like there's a void in here that you're trying to fill and fill and fill. And so even though whenever I do goal work with people, I get them to think externally because that's what they're so used to doing. And then I say, right, when you're smiling from ear to ear, like literally smiling from ear to ear, go on, smile from ear to ear. But stop right there. What are you feeling? What's that feeling? Because that's what you're searching for. You're not your car, you're not your house, you're not any of those extra, but some people think they are their car, don't they? They think they're, our ego is all wrapped up in what we've got outside. But it's what we've got inside that matters. So if we avoid this error, there is no need to limit ourselves in taking what we will from the infinite storehouse. All things are yours. And the way to avoid this error is by realizing that true wealth is in identifying ourselves with the spirit of opulence. We must be opulent in our thought. Do not think money as such, for it is only one means of opulence, but think opulence. That is largely, generously, liberally, and you will find that the means of realizing this thought will flow to you from all quarters, whether as money or as 100 other things, not to be reckoned in cash. Isn't that so true? There's so many things that happen that you think you need money for, and you don't. But if we think in a particular way, then we limit. It's like, the expectant attitude of, well, this or better, or just by feeling gratitude all day, every day. Pray without ceasing, it says, which is praise all day, just for breathing and being alive and having no attachment to anything, because then the magic starts to come in. We must not make ourselves dependent on any particular form of wealth or insist on it coming to us through some particular channel. That is at once to impose a limitation and to shut out other forms of wealth and to close other channels. But we must enter into the spirit of it. Now, the spirit is life. And throughout the universe, life ultimately consists in circulation, whether within the physical body of the individual or on the scale of the entire solar system. And circulation means a continual flowing around, and the spirit of opulence is no exception. Once this principle becomes clear to us, we shall see that our attention should be directed rather to the giving than to the receiving. We should say that again, should be directed to the giving rather than to the receiving. We must look. So think about it. Whenever you're in a mirror, whenever you're trying to get something, yeah, do you see that? I'm pulling away from you. But when I'm like that to give, yeah, I'm also receiving at the same time. Just look at that. When you give, you receive at the same time. So always think about giving, because the spirit of life itself, like, just stop for a moment and feel your breath. Just, can you feel yourself breathing? Who's breathing you? So that life itself is coming in through you. Give. Doesn't have to be giving in money. It can give in your time, in your thoughts, in your love, in your attitude. Always give, because then the universe will give to you. But when you always try to get, look what happens. I'm pulling away from you. We must look upon ourselves not as misers' chests to be kept locked for our own benefit, but as centres of distribution, and the better we fulfil our function as such centres, the greater will be the corresponding inflow. If we choke the outlet, the current must slacken, and a full and free flow can be obtained only by keeping it open. I love that. We must look upon ourselves not as misers' chests. So sometimes when I'm talking to people and they go, oh, I don't need a lot of money. And I'm like, well, that's a bit selfish, isn't it? What, so you don't need, well, what about the rest of the world? So are you telling me that, well, I'm just going to keep myself small here in my little box and I'm just going to look after me? Is when you've got talents and there's something inside you to be shared with the world, and the more you have and the more you can share. But if you just look after me and keep me small and keep me in a box, that's a miser's chest. That's what it's saying here. And you limit your own flow. You limit your own happiness, which means you're limiting the happiness of the people around you. And again, we're not just talking money here, are we? This is opulence. I remember, like, being not allowed to be too happy. If I was having too much fun and too much joy, I would always be brought back into line, going, right, that's enough fun now. Time to be serious. And I have to watch that all the time, because it's a little voice in my head going, oh, you're having like too much fun here, Sheena. Like, that's not fair on the rest of the world. Yeah? Basically, it's not fair on the rest of the world if you have too much fun. That's it. It's like, I can't be sad enough to help the sad. How am I going to help sad people? By being happy so that I can raise their spirits. Yeah? I can't be poor enough to help the poor. How do I help the poor? By having more so I can overflow into them. Yeah? It's like saying, oh, I've had enough breath now. I don't need, I've had my fair share of breath. Best not breathe anymore. Guess there's not enough breath to go around. Like, that would be silly, wouldn't it? But that's what we do. I love that one, actually. That makes me laugh, going, you've had too much fun now. That's enough. It's not fair on the rest of the world. I'm miserable, so you just come down here and be miserable with me. Don't you dare be so happy. But I bet you, I bet you any money you have stopped your brilliance because somebody else has been got a face on. Yeah? Like, actually, go on, put it in the box. If anybody's watching this, I know not everybody's watching it now, but whenever you do, just put yes. Yeah? That you've stopped yourself from shining for fear of outshining somebody else, or because somebody doesn't like you shining so much. Well, you know what you say to them the next time is, listen, put your sunglasses on, or like put the blinds down, because I'm going to shine anyway. Because maybe then you'll be able to start to shine yourself, because if you shine higher and brighter, then other people can as well. But if you keep dropping to keep in line with everybody else, well, guess what? You all just stay in line like that. Yeah? So don't be afraid to show your true self, as in, as long as you're if you're miserable, then, stay miserable in your own box. That's all right. But if you've got something to show, share it, share it. The spirit of opulence, the opulent mode of thought, consists in cultivating the feeling that we possess all sorts of riches which we can bestow upon others, and which we can bestow liberally, because by this very action we open the way for greater supplies to flow in. But you say, I'm short of money. I hardly know how to pay for the necessaries. What have I to give? The answer to that is we must, oh, excuse me, my eyes are in the water. The answer to that is we must always start from the point from where we are. If your wealth at the present moment is not abundant on the material plane, you need not trouble to start on that plane. There are other sorts of wealth, still more valuable on the spiritual and intellectual planes, which you can give. You can start from this point and practice the spirit of opulence, even though your balance at the bank may be nil. And then the universal law of attraction will begin to assert itself. You will not only begin to experience an inflow in the spiritual and intellectual planes, but it will extend itself to the material plane also. Wow! So you could get money just by being happy. How's that? Imagine if you just went around and made everybody happy, and then one day the universe decided to pay you back. How wonderful. If you realize the spirit of opulence, you cannot help drawing to yourself material good, as well as that higher wealth which is not to be measured by a money standard. And because you truly understand the spirit of opulence, you will neither affect to despise this form of good, nor will you attribute to it a value that does not belong to it. Isn't that so true? That when people say, well, money isn't everything, no, it's not, because you've just made it everything by saying that. There's obviously a paradigm and a lock in there that you've got, is that, we cannot serve two masters. And one of the other lessons, things that we read was about in, what do you call it? It was in the Thomas Troward book, and it was the essential and the incidental. So are you making money the essential? That means you become the incidental. So you rise and fall because your money rises and falls. But what if you're the essential and you keep yourself happy just by happy thoughts? Just keep yourself happy with happy thoughts. Then the money becomes the incidental and doesn't affect you. How many times people, for anybody who's in a job, that when you get paid, yay, it's payday! Yay, I'm so happy! Then halfway through the month, oh my God, I've got nothing left. And now my mood's down here. Yeah? For 30 years, I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Payday! Yes, I'm rich. And as the money was going, and I could see it, I'm like, oh my God, like trying to hold on to the money as it's going out, going out, going out. And then you get to the last week and you're like, I have nothing. Sad days. Yeah? You allow yourself to be mastered by money, or are you the master? You're the master of your own feelings. So remember that you're the essential and the money is the incidental. It is not money, but the love of money that is the root of evil. And the spirit of opulence is precisely the attitude of mind which is furthest removed from the love of money for its own sake. It does not believe in money. What it does believe in is a generous feeling which is the intuitive recognition of the great law of circulation, which does not in any undertaking make its first question, how much am I going to get by it? But how much am I going to do by it? And making this the first question. The getting will flow in with a generous profusion and with a spontaneous and rightness of direction that are absent when our first thought is of receiving only. We are not called upon to give what we have not yet got and to run into debt, but we are to give liberally of what we have, with the knowledge by doing so we are setting the law of circulation to work, and as this law brings us greater inflows of every kind of good, so our outgiving will increase, not by depriving ourselves of any expansion of our own life that we may desire, but by finding that by every expansion makes us the more powerful instruments for expanding the life of others. Live and let live is the motto of true opulence. So I like that. Think these questions now. So instead of thinking, how much am I going to get? Think, how much am I going to do? Who can I serve? Who can I help? What can I do with this money? Because even when you buy something in a shop, you're serving like, so say, okay, I'm Arbonne. So say you came and you bought Arbonne for me. You're serving me because you allow me then to have more. That serves Arbonne, who then can make more, who then people can buy more, and then people get healthier, and then it goes round in a full circle just by you buying something. So instead of thinking that you're getting something, think of it that you're giving something. So when you're in Tesco's or your whatever shop you're in, that person who's serving you, when you pass the money across, you may as well be giving them the money to keep their family, to feed their family. Like, that's the power you have of buying something. But we feel, oh God, I shouldn't spend this money. But when you circulate money, money's not for holding on to, it's for circulating. And when you buy something, that shop assistant, you've helped keep them in a job and feed their family. Yes, okay, maybe you spent 10p. It doesn't matter. It's the circulating of it. So don't feel ever bad about spending something. Think of it as giving. You're always giving. And look, I got something in return. How amazing is that? Yeah? So listen, have an awesome day today. Just think opulence. Opulence, and go walk around, go praise to the opulence. Thank you for the opulence in my life. And where can I give? Where can I give more joy and laughter today? Yeah? Dance in the rain naked in your back garden. I don't know, whatever. You may not want to do that. The neighbours may complain if they can see you. But if you've got a garden that nobody sees you, go and do it. I did it once. Nobody could see it, and literally went out and danced naked in the rain. Have you ever done that? It was a long time ago. I think I was in my early 20s. So listen, have a wonderful day today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.